What are we talking about?
So we're talking about the current affairs. What's going on in the world outside of our sheltered homes?
Okay.
What's going on in the streets? And it sounds like the only one that's been out in the streets really is Assata so far. And she said she did a caravan, but I wasn't really on the caravan. Was it?
There was a caravan yesterday for Breonna Taylor and for George Floyd, but it was also obvious that people were marching for everybody, for so many other names, because they were all over Trayvon, and just everybody had names all over their, all of the fallen, murdered Black lives. And it was supposed to be peaceful. So we started at the shoreline on 7th and rode through downtown and went around the lake and back to the port of Oakland. And there were people on bikes, skateboards, scooters, and then there were people walking. And when there were already hundreds of cars when I got there. And so it didn't even start. It was supposed to start at 1, I believe, but it started later because the amount of cars. And then the police did something really divisive. When you exited, if you were coming off at 880, they were telling people to go left towards the shoreline. When the caravan had already started, it was going towards Broadway. So what they were trying to do was separate everybody and confuse people. And it was obvious because people were texting. They didn't know, I don't think they knew people were texting each other. And so I was looking for House Full of Black Women. And they were like, no, I'm down. Keep coming towards Broadway. I'm like, but the police are diverting people away. And so all these cars started turning towards the shoreline. And then I heard something started going down at the shoreline, while those of us were like, we know what the path is. And so on 88.7, I think it was 88.7, Kat Brooks was moderating. She was like doing these inspirational talks, like she was leading it from 88.7 and telling people where to go. And we're gonna head down, we're gonna make a left on Franklin, keep on coming, like that. And we have to, just giving this some really powerful, encouraging talk. And we're going to come out here in peace. And, it was really good to hear that. So you had to tune in. But we didn't know that people were just walking by with signs that said, turn on your radio to 88.7. And then when we hit the lake, there were hundreds and hundreds of youth, like high schoolers, middle schoolers, who knew, like, marching wearing black. And so they were part of a whole nother protest. Wow. And then, and I heard that there was another one, but it was pretty peaceful. So when I finally had to leave, I'm just going to be transparent. It's because I had to use the bathroom. I had drank now a gallon of water. There's nowhere to go. No one lets you. And I had to go. So I was like, I'm going to try to look for a porta potty. But and so as soon as I texted that to the sisters, I started to look for a freeway exit, and then I got a text that the police had started firing tear gas.
Right.
Yeah.
And so everybody was still in their cars? You're saying
cars, scooters, most bicycles. The caravan was more, yeah.
Was this yesterday or Saturday?
This was yesterday.
Sunday. Okay.
Sunday. Thank you, because I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, that's how it feels, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Up here, there was I want to say they're the high schoolers. They were the high schoolers had a protest today.
Yeah.
And I guess it was Saturday when they did the tear gas. I feel like you. I don't know what day it is anymore. Yeah, but we were talking earlier also, about where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? What are things that we could share that might be helpful? And I think we were talking about a little bit about, how we were feeling And then also like next, and how can people, you know, be involved? I know that I've there's another young person that does a lot of writing, actually. She's writing, it has been about, you know, and what I explained to my niece is the grunt work that you do when you're organizing. There's a lot of stuff that you could do behind the scenes as well as being out in the streets. And we were talking earlier about, you know, some of the looters, how that's so different from the people that are trying to get the message out that, you know, the police abuse and brutality needs to end. It needs to end now.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking about, you know, unity among the people,
Right.
you know, solidarity, and in my community, you know, just some of the racism in my community, how there's a lot of Filipino Americans that are supportive, that are allies to the Black community, you know, but that, I wouldn't say that that's our entire community, you know, and how much the Filipino American community really needs to, and the Filipinos from the islands, you know, they need to understand the history of this nation. You know, we were talking earlier about, you know, how many young Black girls, you know, have been, you know, missing, murdered. And then there's the indigenous, you know, that are missing and murdered. And where does anybody hear about any of that stuff?
Right.
You know, there's a lot of issues. There's so many issues that we need to look at. I don't know. What do you think? What are you feeling? What are you feeling, Luanda? What's happening?
I am feeling just a wave of emotions that range from anger to sadness to frustration to unresolved, like just holding on, being faithful, and being present and supportive in the best way that I'm able to be.
How about you, Sabrina? What's happening?
I have 2 young people at home who have social media going, and they're going, oh my gosh, my friend got this cool thing because they looted it. And I'm like, no, you know, I'm trying to say, no, Mom, we can go get free stuff. And I'm like, that's not okay. No. And, you know, all I heard all yesterday is who got looted, what stores were broken into, and where was it? Oh, who was nearby? And I'm sitting there going, the message is totally lost. And I mean, they know we talk and we have open conversations about what's going on. And then I think by the second day, they were able to reflect and talk back to me and say, you know what, Mom, why are they rushing out to get all these things? Like, why do people feel like they need these things? Don't they have enough? And I said, wow, good question. You know, people can, what do you call it? Try to redefine and justify what they're doing and say it's, they're getting their reparations, getting what's owed to them. I've heard so many different, you know, terms. I mean, because Black people are put at the bottom. They're last. They're invisible. You don't mention race. We're not included in minority and people of color. Just invisible. Don't say Black. Minority, you can say Asian, or you can say other things, whatever. But you say Black, and it's like it's a bad word. Our kids don't even feel proud of that.
Right. Yep.
What do I fill out on the thing, Mom? But I'm not really African American.
Right.
That's not a choice anymore. Am I Black? Or am I Black? Is it Hispanic? Is that? Oh, that sounds more interesting. Maybe I should do that. No. Where are they felt to be proud to be Black? Right. Besides their parents telling them learning about their history, from their community members and their family.
Right.
And is that enough? It's not reiterated on television.
Right.
I'm constantly telling my child, the love and hip hop, please don't. Oh my God. I try to say it's killing your brain cells. Doesn't work, but you know, I try. But negative stereotypes on television, that's what white producers are supporting. Negative raps and stuff on the music, on the radio about go get this and get that and go push her down and put him down. And I mean, it's just all so negative. And it's killing. It's just hurting our community. It's divisive, just like you said with the caravan, Assata. It's divisive.
Yeah.
It's not about unity and about togetherness.
Yeah.
About self-hate
Right.
and separation.
Right.
Anywhere. And we need to see the signs and start seeing
Right.
and running away from them, going in the opposite direction, turning off the TV, turning off the radio, choosing what you bring into your environment. Because it hurts. It hurts me deep. It's a visceral pain. I've heard visceral so many times on the media. Oh, it hurts me deep. It does. It makes me cry. I've cried so many times. I have so many tears for this. It's time to do something. I hope this time something's really going to happen. I mean, when I heard they're marching in London, they're marching in Berlin, they're marching in Toronto, Canada, in solidarity for Black people in 2016, United Nations says,
For your meeting?
damn right, Black people deserve reparations. Why aren't you giving them to America? Yes, silent. Crickets. So,
Yeah, totally. You know, when we went to Brazil, that was the first, that's why I was so impressed. I don't know, when we went down there with Carlos to study Afro-Brazilian dance and music, that was the first thing. You got off the plane and then you got in the little van, and that was the first thing that they told us, was how at that point in time, they were demanding reparations. And I'm sorry, in this, so you know, we're talking a little bit earlier, is like, hey, okay, the Constitution's messed up. You know, like how you know, Black people, you know, like, you know, how they're like the men. I am a man. They're men. We need to start treating them like men. They're not 3/5 of anything. They're men. And the women, they're women. And we got to respect that. You know, we're human beings. And from this point on, we're at a point in time where, like, you know, we are all equal. I'm sorry. You know, we got that Constitution. Constitution needs to be changed. You know, we were talking about the law early. Laws need to be changed. And reparations need to happen.
Right.
You know, if this government, and it was messed up when they took the Japanese and they put them into camps. If the United States government can do that, then they better do it for Black people too. I'm sorry. It's way past time. It's past time. They need to do it. And they need to do it now. You know, and the laws, like, okay, these laws, there's so many antiquated laws that come from, they come back from, you know, the colonizing times that are go all the way back to England, you know, and so we got to look at that. It's like, okay, so I mean, there's all the inequities, you know, so, you know, it's okay for some people to be equal, but not the others. It's okay for some people to carry guns, but not the others. It's okay for white women to say shit or anything, and other people say stuff so that somebody is going to get arrested and probably killed if it's the cops going to arrest them. That's not cool anymore. That's not happening. That needs to end. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of the young people are out in the streets. And a lot of, you know, like the whole economic thing too. It's like, okay, you know, having worked so much in the city, you know, in the communities that I work with, it's like, you know, people don't have anything, you know, and, you know, the kids that their parents don't have jobs, you know, and this is like decades, you know, this is like centuries, you know, from, you know, the time of slavery. What they should have done is given the 40 acres and a mule, and they didn't do that. Because if had they done that, you know, Black folk would be rich. That's 40 acres. You know what that's worth right now? That's worth a lot. And so, you know, white America stole that. White America stole that. And it's time for reparations.
They need to do that. How we're going to do that, I don't know. You know, we have a lot of professionals out there, you know, that are in law. We have a lot of professionals in almost every institution. So they could do that. And then the young people, you know, one of the things, like we were talking a little bit too about Barack Obama and stuff, is like, you know, we have to look at it too as like, some people are within the system. And if they're within the system and they're doing for their people, that's cool. But the one thing that I remember about when Obama was in is that, you know, he had to dismiss his minister, which I was so disappointed about. And then he had to let go of Van Jones. And Van Jones was like one of my heroes, because in terms of Black environmentalism and farming and all that, I was like, oh, he's the man. He was, at that point, he was the man. And he got rid of him, you know, because a lot of people in politics, it's all about compromise. But if they're in the government and we on the outside are pushing them, then they will, you know, they have the pressure from the outside. And me having worked in a school system, believe me, when we had to create curriculum around HIV prevention education, and, you know, those higher ups didn't want to hear that some of the curriculum was racist. You know, we had to bring the Black community in to tell them this is racist. And thank God we were in there, because we could read what was being written and we knew what was going on, and the community could come in and say things. And it's the same thing around police brutality. Right. I think I was watching something today, and I have to look it up, and maybe we could post it underneath, but it was how we need a registry of all the cops that are committing crimes. Yes. And in every city where all these people have gotten away with stuff, they need to be prosecuted. We need to prosecute them.
Should be a blue list.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I was really impressed. It's like, yeah, we need to do that. There's a lot of stuff we need to do. And then, like, in terms of unity, you know, like, you know, for the white folks that are out there, you need to learn how to be an ally. You need to step back. You need to stop looting.
And educate each other. If you don't know, just don't assume you know. You don't know. You weren't taught about Black history. You have to go out and find it.
Yeah, because we had to learn your history.
Exactly.
And you know what? We know that inside and out, and it's messed up. It's hundreds of years of messed up, going all the way back to the colonizers. You know, we're on indigenous land. Okay, this is Turtle Island. Do you even know where you're standing?
Right. Okay.
Check that out. This is all stolen land. Oh, and then you steal people from Africa to bring them here to work plantations, and then the children, if you're rich and your families have made money off of that, right? The settlers, if you've been here for hundreds of years, and you have stuff, I'm sorry, you better give some of that land back. Right. And if the government does it, you could do that. You know, here in California, I think there's somebody that gave some land back to the Pomos. I forget what the name of that person was. Oh yeah. Wow. You know, and there are different, there's small places, you know. Here's the other thing. There are kind people out there. There are generous people out there. You know, you got money, donate it to Black Lives Matter. You really care?
Well, that's the catch there. For the generous people that there are out there, without leadership, it's like, well, what do you want? Have a leader to tell you what that is. Do you know what I mean? Do you have an organization to collect that property or collect that donation, that money? That's the thing about organizing that we need to learn and come together behind the same cause and support. Because it happens, what I've seen in a lot of, you know, charities, they give and give and give, and where's the money go? Where's the accountability?
You sure you know?
So I just wanted to mention one thing about my recent visit to Hawaii, and
oh yes,
how it broke my heart. And I was hurt, I was crying, I was in the library half of the time. People look at me and they go, what are you talking about? You were in paradise. And I'm like, I felt the pain when I was there. I felt the same pain we feel here. Americans who were put in bondage and slavery. We're a giving, loving, hardworking, laborious people, and more than forgiving. The same thing. They were loving, benevolent. Come to our place. come, sure, share with us. Same thing. They came and ripped, stole, and now the people there are living in poverty, on welfare. They can't get management level jobs. I'm just sitting there going, huh? They get token figures sometimes to get in political, positions in the government. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening here too? In paradise? I was there to see Native peoples and I barely saw any. They're calling it America's playground. Does that mean white America's playground? They just took over the place and they use it like it's their golf course. I'm just so sick. It made me so sick to my stomach. I felt ashamed for being there. I felt ashamed and I wanted to leave after the 4th day. And I said, this is not what I expected Hawaii to be. There is no respect for the Native people. What the heck? But my naiveness, I went back home just upset and mad and feeling like, dang, can they do anything right? So
interesting. I also feel that something we are witnessing is the downfall of this capitalistic society and capitalism, and what is going to be the system to replace it so that there is equity for all. There is enough for everyone to have something, and that things need to be redistributed, that this upheaval that was sparked by the murders that now you cannot deny. There's no denying it anymore, that it is also compounded by people seeing, okay, yes, we're in this COVID pandemic, quote unquote, and we have, what is it, more than 40,000 have gone unemployed, and yet there's the rich that are getting richer and richer off of people who have nothing. And so we need to prepare for a different system. I also feel like it is important that we don't just have one leader, that we all need to be leaders, because from the past, it seems like when we have one leader, then when that one leader falls, the whole thing crumbles. And that we all need to be leaders.
I think that's really important what you say.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even around, when we formed this collective, it was like to educate, but also to bring healing to the community, to the people that didn't have access to holistic healing.
Right.
And I know I've said this to different people, is like, really, we all have the ability to heal. If we could heal our own body, we're all really healers. And the other thing is this, if I learned anything in dance, and I so appreciate all the years I spent dancing with you guys, is that if I learned anything in that, is that if you could move, you could dance. If I could speak, I could really sing. It's not that I'm a singer, but I could sing, and it might not be what everybody wants to hear, because I know my children would say, like, stop singing in the bathroom. But that's what I learned, that's what I learned through all of that, all the years we spent together, that's what I value. And those things are so healing for all of us, So yeah, I agree. I think that's the problem. Some of the problem with movements, like if you look at movements, I mean, even, so I think even if you, for people that have studied, the history of this country, all the different ways that enslaved people in the past rebelled against the system. There are many ways to do that. And so even now, you know, like in Luanda's talking about systems, you know, going back to like being cooperative with each other, you know, going back to, you know, growing our own things and trading. And there are different ways we can do things, you know. And I think that's this time period too, that's where we're at, you know. The fact that capitalism, the way the economic system is run, is that you always have to make a profit. Well, I'm sorry, there's no more profit to be made. There's only so much. So
Right.
we're just going to go downhill from here, you
Right.
know. And capitalism is making the entire world slaves. We are all slaves to it. You know, they're sending people back to work in the United States, and hello, COVID-19 is still here. Give me a
Yeah.
break. And all the service people, you know, I finally went shopping today because I was running out of stuff. And the poor woman, the checker, was like, I hate my job. You know how many times I go to the store and they say that? I hate my job. I'm
Oh.
forced to stand here. You know, and it wasn't the first time since this has happened. Usually you go into the store and people are like, chill. And
Right.
so I think the fact that, you know, this government is saying you got to go back to work. Okay, these people that don't go back to work, you're going to lose your unemployment. Well, look at how much fear there is about people they want to save their families. They don't want to go to work and come home, and if granny lives there, or they have somebody with cancer or some other chronic illness that, you know, that person can die. Really? You know, this government doesn't really care about us. And so we need to care for each other. You know, the unity that we can have for each other is so important right now, because this government really doesn't care. There's the few representatives that are in there that care and that are fighting for us. And so I do believe in, like, you know, they're going to try and steal the vote again. All you young people that are of age, and I know you don't usually vote, but please listen to, you know, even the family of George Floyd. They're like, hey, go out there and vote. You know, and they're going to try and steal our vote, which they always try to do. But we still need to vote. We need to do what we can, because we can't take another 4 years of this crap, you know, and it's going to be worse. If they steal the vote, it's going to be worse. That means we have to survive. How are we going to do that?
It's really hard to get the sitting president out of there. It is really hard. It really takes some unification and some solidarity, like everybody coming together.
Yeah, solidarity is important. And seeing the solidarity is beautiful right now.
Assata,
Yeah.
did you have something to say? I thought you were.
Oh, I'm in concurrent with everybody. I was trying to think of something. I just listened. I listened to, I don't know, Madame Bello in Haiti. I listened to a talk between her and Edwidge Danticat, and they were speaking about the Haitian Revolution. And they were speaking also about, Madame Bello was speaking about the role of women in the revolution and their important role. But she was also reminding us about that power of prayer, ritual, and ceremony. Like that is a very important role. It was probably one of the most important roles in Haiti, and that revolution is inevitable. But something she said that was so to not go to sleep, because tyranny never sleeps. So while you're sleeping, while you've been lulled to sleep because you have a few things from the looting, or we have some comforts, you know, we have a few rights. We have a few things that we've achieved through the civil rights struggle, but the tyranny never sleeps and is always planning, always plotting how to disempower people, how to stay in power. So this is just a clear, these are like reminders. It's like on the plantation, the overseer was the police officer. And his role was to remind you that you were a slave and that you were nothing. So these shootings and killings and beatings, they're not random. They're reminders to keep us in our place. So I'm just going to say that you don't go to sleep. Tyranny never sleeps. We
Right.
need to be back in those books. We need to be reading. We need to be, like you said, multiple leaders. We need to be developing ourselves into leaders.
Yeah. So
Rest and take shifts. Yes, Layla says rest and take shifts, though.
Rest in what? Say that
Take
again.
shifts. Take shifts as leaders. We need to also rest and take shifts. But
Take
yeah,
shifts. Take
shifts.
shifts. I like
oh,
rest
yeah,
and
because
take
it's
shifts.
exhausting. It's
Never
exhausting.
rest.
That's right.
That's
Like
And that's
that.
what they, yeah, while we're sleeping. So we need to take shifts too.
Take shifts. That's
It's-
right.
Everybody.
Be on the lookout. That's
Who's
right.
the lookout for the night?
That's right.
I was going to ask, so as you were talking about that, like what we need to read, and I was like wondering what, just off the top of your head, some of your favorite books that can be read. Like as you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the
Oh.
Oppressed, you know, and then who are our heroes, you know, so everybody probably knows my heroes, Malcolm X. I love Malcolm X.
I love
Sorry,
Malcolm.
I love him. I just love him.
Right.
I think we should all revisit the Black Panther's 10-point plan.
Yep, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. We need to revisit that. I would read anything. If you didn't know about race, class, and gender, I think you need to reread some Angela Davis. Remind yourself that this ain't new. It just looks different and is global.
Yeah.
It's global.
Yeah.
You're right about that. It is global. Who else?
Somebody, and I can't remember his name, but he's a white author. And I remember, I think Anissa, one of our Fogo babies, had mentioned, have you guys ever read Behold the Pale White Horse?
Yes,
And
and
I think,
No.
yeah. So I think, I can't remember his name, but I believe that white author was also assassinated and killed.
yeah,
Because that's what happens.
wow.
Because yep.
yeah, it might be out of print.
Yeah.
I have a PDF
Write
of it.
that down.
Well, let's, yeah. Okay.
Say
I
that
have
again?
a PDF. I have a PDF version of it. A friend of mine just sent it to me. It's Milton William Cooper.
Yes. Milton Cooper. Yes.
Milton William Cooper, the author of Behold a Pale.
Right.
So maybe we could put some of these down below.
Yeah, I'm gonna put. My favorites are Assata, as you mentioned there, Holly, the Autobiography of Malcolm X. I'm just saying the ones that were just moving, that you grasp and you're like, man, I got to read this again.
Right.
I am currently reading a Black History Reader by Dr. Claud Anderson. Great start. I mean, I've written some Black history books, and they're usually about this thick, you know, and really dense. But this just breaks it out. It just says 101 questions and categorizes it. Really good. I mean, really, really good. Understanding why, the whys of the foundation of America and how it was built by the white Americans, and just the things that have been done and the things that we let continue to happen. So knowledge is so important. Changing policies. He really supports, because he's a politician, he really supports, you know, finding people to represent us. We need to look and support those people. You know, we could create our own Black party. You know, you say, oh, you want the Black vote? Well, here's the party to support. You know, he's got some just radical ideas. He says we need to stop calling ourselves African Americans and call ourselves Native Blacks.
Right. People, yep.
Because we've long been from Africa. It's been 400 or 500 years. We've been here a long time. We need to, you know.
Longer than some of the Europeans.
Exactly.
Come on now.
And he's saying,
and all the Black folks who have Native American blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of men.
That's right.
But he was just saying, I mean, the immigrants do better than we do. And, you know, I was recently reading about how Black communities from the 1960s, they start hiring politicians that supported the Black community. And then all of the white people moved to the suburbs, took all the money with them. There was nothing to build. So then immigrants moved in with their money and their collectivism and good business skills. And so you see more Asian and Mexican businesses in the Black communities. All the Black businesses gone.
Yeah.
You know,
We
it's,
still
and you
do
see
it.
it. You see it.
All the corner stores, they're not like, you know, I remember, well,
Right.
yeah, I mean, those, you know, okay, we're not going to talk about even just
Beauty
San
shop,
Francisco.
beauty shop, where do
Talk
you get
about San Francisco alone. Yeah.
your, exactly. So yeah, just,
Oakland, San Francisco, all over.
All the
right.
gentrification.
Yeah. And people want to leave, they get a little money and then they're like, I'm going to leave. I'm leaving this crime. I'm leaving this, instead of trying to build and transform their community and make it better and stick in there and come together. Instead of saying, oh, it's so bad. There's too much crime. There's too much, I don't want to stay for this, and running away.
Right.
And then how do you create roots, or how do your children feel like they belong when you've moved them out to the suburbs? Or
Exactly.
when they can't say, well, that, you know, my mom went to that school, or that, you know, they don't have the same connection
Exactly.
to the Black community. Well, because they're not even being raised in the Black community. They're being
Right.
raised in New York and Stockton, places where they don't feel like it's theirs.
And is it a better education or not? I mean, that's questionable.
Right.
They're still not
Yeah.
learning their history. They're still not.
Yeah. So, and I think that also goes back to just like within our own families.
Yeah.
You know, what is the history of our family? You know, how did our family come here? You know, and a lot of that's really difficult for many families based on how tragic your family story might be.
Right.
And so it might be more difficult to find those stories, but it is important to look.
It is important.
You know, and so that kind of goes back. Oh, before I switch, I did want to say this. Now, I haven't read it, but I was watching something, and I forget who recommended this, but it's called The Broken Heart of America. And it's by a Walter Johnson.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and so I wanted to get it because in that book they also talk about settler mentality. They kind of break that down too. But I think what I was gonna, pardon?
The name of the author again?
Walter Johnson.
Okay.
The Broken Heart of America. But I think I wanted to kind of also go back to what Assata was saying, was just like our grounding. You know, everyone's angry now, but we really also need to ground. So going back to like, you know, what is our ceremony? What is our ritual? Where is our spirituality? And whatever that is, to have that hold us right now. Right. You know, before the assassination happened and the police brutality happened, right, the Black community was already stricken and in grief around all the people that have died. Yeah. And so part of that anger is also that. And so I think just being grounded, like, so I wanted to ask you also, like, so who are the people that, if someone's going to read or someone's going to follow someone, who are people that they can also follow or read about from a spiritual aspect, from a grounding aspect in the Black community, from different traditions, you know? I don't know if you guys have any recommendations there, that would be awesome.
I like Luisah Teish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And her blogs.
Yeah. I would say, wow, you know, I don't really have one, but I would say, you know, I don't, you know how they say where you're, did they say choose? So you can tell how I don't know any scripture or anything like that about tithing and all that, but we're, something about where you're spiritually fed. And so I'm saying if what I would start, whether you're Christian, Muslim, a traditional African, Vodun, Ifa, is to, I think it's a good time to say, create a spiritual refuge in your home whether it's an ancestor or let's because these fallen, slain, assassinated people, members of our community and loved ones, are now ancestors.
Mhm.
And so they've been brutally removed. And so in our indigenous traditions, we do something about that. There's prayers, there's an honoring of wanting that spirit to go peacefully. And they haven't been removed from the earth peacefully. So I'm just saying that whatever feels right. I don't know, for me to have an ancestor altar at this time, to be connected to those who went before me, regardless of my tradition, makes me feel I'm connected to, in Ifa, there's like a universal, there's the Egungun, there's a universal ancestor. And
Yeah.
so you have your ancestors, your blood ancestors, but there's the universal ancestors, and we are all ultimately connected to the universal realm of ancestors,
Yeah.
where all of them want what is best for us. All of them need to be remembered. All of them need to be uplifted. That's why we speak their name, and that's why we pray for them to transition, you know, in power. And so, and I think that that can be universal, whatever that means for other people. And I don't have any authors, but I like Teish because the beginning of just how to set up a sacred space in your room,
Yes.
in your home, where your home is your refuge, your home is your temple. You can't go to church right now anyway, so you might as well make your
Yeah.
mosque, your temple, your Elaine, you know. So that's what I would.
And she's written books.
Yeah.
And she's
Awesome.
even in Jambalaya,
Mhm.
Carnival of the Spirit. Um, there's several others.
Yeah, I
That's
agree with
awesome. It's a
yeah, I agree with that um prayer is most powerful above all, and that at this time
Mm.
the importance of all of us to give time to pray, and irregardless of your spiritual practice, that your ancestors should be your first point of reverence,
Sure.
and to call their names, because your ancestors, they want the best for you. They will be first to help you. They're closest to you. In addition to your ancestors are your spirit guides, who are always with you, and they are with you through your past lives, and they just travel with you. And it is important that we stay grounded with your ancestors. Check in with them, pray to them. They will protect and guide you and keep you lifted at this time, and always, and always. um One person who, he is Buddhist, Thich Nhat
Oh,
Hanh.
Thich Nhat.
He has
Yes, sorry.
wonderful, beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful
yes.
meditations that are just so simple, um, and compassionate. I think it's important that we all carry compassion in our hearts at this time, along with our anger and our fire, you
Yes.
know,
And
but
can
that
I,
we are compassionate and loving to ourselves and others, you know, appreciate every moment, and love yourself. I think it's also important that we maintain our health. Stop eating junk food. You know, cook those home meals now. Sit around the table and eat together, but eat wholesome. Grow, you know, if you can, grow your food. Grow your food. keep a strong immune system.
Mhm.
You don't have a garden, have pots.
Yes, and do not give up hope. We must stay faithful and strong and hopeful at this time, above all. You know, we're so creative and we are so, I don't know, our ability to create something out of nothing. Hey, it goes above and
Hey,
beyond.
that's
Okay.
right.
And so we
That's
got to
right.
stay tapped into that no matter what, no matter what, no
Right.
matter what, no matter how it seems like, oh my gosh, you know, it's the end of the tunnel. We gonna make it through to the other side where the light
Right.
is.
That's right.
Real.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's real.
For real, for real.
Luanda, I read this book right when this started. It's Fear
Oh,
by Thich Nhat Hanh.
Nice.
This is a wonderful book. I mean, he
Mhm.
really talks about community in this book, community building.
Oh, is there any like little short thing you could read or share with us now?
Sure.
Aw.
Thank you.
I'm going to read, okay, it's a little long, but I really love this whole passage. It's about our beloved community.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So our beloved community, our Sangha, is a group of people who together practice generating mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Everyone feels embraced and supported by the collective energy generated by the practice. Often our feelings of loneliness and isolation feed our fears and encourage them to grow. In the Sangha, there are people who are solid enough in the practice that they can sit with us and share their energy of mindfulness. We can call on them for support. And here's a mantra. Dear brother, dear sister, I need your presence. I have a big pain, and by myself, I cannot embrace it. So please help me. We breathe together, and with our combined energy of mindfulness, we are able to recognize, embrace, and transform that pain. We know we are a part of the Sangha River. We are not isolated drops of water, and we will make it to the ocean together. When there's a healing and peace, we know it's a real Sangha. With the support of the Sangha, that's the community, that's everybody, the practice is easier and life in general becomes much easier. Your family or your group of friends can be your Sangha. It is whatever community supports you. Building a Sangha means building your safety, your support, and your happiness. And this is when you feel alone, when you're in fear. It's like, it was so relevant to what was going on right now. I also read his book. He has so many books on anger. Really, really good. I was thinking, oh, when I was in a bad relationship, I said, ooh, my ex really needs this anger book. I read it. I needed the book.
Yes.
So it was just all that suppressed anger that we hide and we
Right.
so we think we're okay, we're good. We'll put on the face and keep moving.
Right.
His books are just very meditative, like you said, prayer, meditation, go hand in hand to me.
Yeah.
You're going to have me buying some books tonight.
That's so beautiful.
Well,
I need
because
the
I
anger
can't get
one.
to them. I
really need
used
the
to,
anger
yeah.
one. I gotta like.
I need all of them. I used to
need a
have at least
cleanse.
3.
I need to
I
jump
gotta-
in the river right now. I need to jump in
Right.
the ocean right now. But we're on stay in place,
Right.
Well, no, guess what? I didn't even have to buy it. I listened to the audiobook through the
Oh, really?
through the
Oh,
From the
library.
library? Oh, you're so
oh, that's
smart.
awesome.
Oh, I forgot.
Did you heard of Hoopla? Hoopla is
Hoopla.
That is.
you can it's an app on your phone and you can connect to any local public library and they have audio.
Oh.
You can
That's
listen
awesome.
to it.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I need to.
And it's free.
I love that. I need that.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
have
I
any
think,
space.
and that's, we didn't talk a lot about, the Buddhist tradition too, which is like mindfulness,
Right.
the soul, different things. I want to put on my rose, and I'm doing that because for everyone that's feeling grief, if you have access to a rose garden, or you have access to rose petals, flower essence, anything, it's to deal with the hurt in your heart, the grief in your heart, to heal that. If you know, we are, for those that are able to get a rose or have a rose, or even put the rose, the image of rose into your heart to heal your heart, it's a good thing to do, you know. And I also want to do this. I want to also mention, because it is appropriate to our time, I need to mention one of my teachers, Grandpa Daryl Babe Wilson, Pit River Indian. I would read him too. The stories that he shares that were also shared with him talk about our time right now. Talk about our time from the point of view of a California native person, and what the prophecies are, and what we're going through now, and the warnings that we've had. So I would also, it's a good read. Me personally, I love different writers. You know, sometimes it's history, but sometimes it's not. But you know, he's just an awesome person that I was blessed enough to work with. So I need to mention his name, and share with you a word from his language, Inalum quote me, which means I must leave you, but I leave my heart with you. Or you are leaving and you're leaving your heart with me. And I want to just honor him. There's so many people to honor, so many teachers to honor, but right now I just want to honor him. You know, this was beautiful because, you know, maybe you're a native person, you're indigenous to this land, you know, and all the different peoples here, they have all their own different traditions. You know, one tribe is different from the other completely, you know, and they have their own stories. And so yeah, find the stories. We need to find our stories, you know, and we need to rely on our stories, you know, from the past, you know. And it's not too far in the past where they did get rid of apartheid. So if that could be done in South Africa, we could change this. Thank you, Luanda, for saying there's hope. We could change this. That's my true belief, you know, the faith and stuff. So I don't mind. I love that the young people are in the streets. I would join you, but sometimes my feet hurt. You know, and I'm trying not to get that COVID, you know. I would love to go see my mother. All my family's mostly in the East Bay, but my daughter in the city, in San Francisco, and it's like we're trying our best to, you know, follow health protocols. So, you know, but I appreciate you young people. I really do. I appreciate how you are stepping up to the plate, you know, and I hope that you listen to some of our words and look for some of these elder people that have the wisdom, you know, and study, because yes, you are our future, you know. And 2020 graduates, thank you for graduating. We are so proud of you. Whatever level you are, from preschool to college to PhD, thank you. Thank you for improving yourself and leading, you know, being the way, you know. Go to the best, you know, African peoples. I just need to say this. When I used to teach, all of you are descended from the kings and queens of Africa. Don't forget that. Don't forget that ever. Because when the colonizers went into Africa and conquered different civilizations, they took those people and they sent them out of Africa. So don't ever forget that you come from really strong lines. You know, learn where your people are really from. Check it out. Learn your culture. Find it out if you're able to. And with those DNA things, you can. You know, if you want to. You know, or you could search your lineage in other ways. There's ways to do it. But, you know, be proud of who you are. We are all strong people. We're still here. Thank your ancestors. From all the different people of color in this world where we've had colonizers go to our lands, we are still here. We're strong. That blood was sent down to us. And so for you young people, when you get to a little bit older and you can have your own children, it's all about survival. How are the best ways to survive? This is where we're at right now. We love you. I'm going to my rose and I'm shutting up.
Well, breaking news. police have deployed tear gas on the protesters in Walnut Creek in Oakland right now. That's happening right now. So to all of our,
Sorry, you guys. Oh, okay. So,
be safe. Yes, be safe out there.
yeah.
Be safe, beloveds.
Yeah. Be
Be
safe.
safe, beloveds. We love you. Be safe.
Any parting words, Satu or Luanda?
Well, just thank you for being brave and courageous. Thank you for honoring life and study and know that this is part of a big design. It's part of a big design and you are part of it and you have a role in it, but please be prepared and study. That's all.
Thank you. Luanda?
Oh my gosh. I just had to stop breathing for a minute when you shared that update, Sabrina. So I'm just catching my breath. I just concur with what everyone said. I so appreciate them. Yes.
What happened? Oh, those grapes. Oh, okay, I can get it.
Yes, please be safe. Please study. Another book or person that I do read for encouragement is Iyanla Vanzant. And this one is Faith in the Valley. Courage not only means being able to do something new, it also means taking steps to be someone new. Some of us talk a great deal because we are afraid we won't be heard. Others never say anything in fear of saying the wrong thing. Some of us are overactive and hyperactive because we fear missing out. There are those of us who are withdrawn, lethargic, inactive, in fear of messing up. One of the first steps in developing a courageous outlook and approach to life is being able to look at ourselves, our beliefs, attitudes, and patterns. Courage enables us to examine. Examination enables us to choose. Courage is more than forceful, aggressive, bold, outward action. At its most infinite level, courage is an in-depth, inward examination, which leads to alteration and application of a new way to be. For all of us, may we take courage. For all of us, take heart, strong mind, body, spirit, as we continue to move forward.
Excellent choice, Luanda. Thank you.
Thank you, sisters.
Thank you, sisters.
Thank you.
Sending love to everybody.
Yes.
To you too. Thank you.
Does anyone do a closing prayer, Holly? Not to put you on the spot.
You did.
Right,
You
call
did
out her
put me.
name.
You did put me on. But I would love it if one of the younger people would do a prayer for us.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
I'm gonna defer to Assata.
Oh, I'm still in the kitchen. Let me. Wow. I am in the kitchen. I'm sorry. Okay, a prayer.
You can just be
Well, I
quick.
just say, oh, just quick. Okay. All right. Well.
Because you've been the one closest in there. You were there yesterday.
Right.
I've never moved. I'm just saying.
Right.
Heard of it
Well,
all.
okay.
You've already
Well,
said something to me. So
right. Well, I posted something on Facebook. I don't have access to it right now, but it was definitely in response to how I was feeling. And I just,
You want me to get it?
no, oh, well, it was just it was a shout out this morning, but I can remember the gist of it. Because now I have to put it in prayer form. Let me see. So what I would say, or my prayer. So I call on the ancestors, and I call on all of the spiritual guides. I call on the spirits of the four directions and the infinite power of Mother and Father God, which exists and resounds in all of us. And I call on you to surround and protect us, protect our community right now, a community who is suffering, in pain, grieving, angry, disenfranchised, and confused about what to do and where we should turn right now. So I ask you to lift up and protect our warriors on the front line, to lift up and protect our think tank, those who are strategizing, those who are praying, our prayer warriors, our spiritual leaders and teachers. Surround and protect and inspire and ignite our healers, because they are needed to help keep us, to heal us, to guide us, to awaken the healer in all of us, and to possibly even have to heal those of us who get beat down. I'm sorry. Sorry, that's SU. Sorry.
Don't be
But
sorry.
yeah, just always the trick. But and I pray for our children, the ones who this is all worth fighting for, that a shift and a better society, a better world, an end to the white racist supremacist regime that is now ruling and controlling and hurting all of us, that we rise in our power and that you continue to strengthen us, embolden us, fortify us um, for our destiny, for what is to come, a peaceful, loving, and transformative world that we are creating. Ashe, Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe.
Oh. I think we should all say words.
Oh.
So, Shakni Halikalika Shakni Simatu Shakni Siikitu Tikatianuto. Mabuhay. Mabuhay. Beautiful moon. Before the moon and stars tonight, I send thanks and gratitude to all the ancestors and all the warriors across Turtle Island, in every city, for protection for all, and send love to the families, every family that has had to suffer under the police brutality and military since the founding of the United States and the landing of colonizers on this land. I send love back home to the lands of my ancestors, and all the suffering that happens there, and to everyone else in the world, that when you see the sun and the moon and the stars above, know that we are with you, we're connected, and your struggles are our struggles, and we love you. And that strength and courage that you have, that we honor that. And that when you feel weak and you need a shoulder to lean on, that we send you strength. We send you strength and courage and love and prayers and peace within your heart. For those families that have lost members during this particular disease that we're going through right now,
We honor you. You know, we hope that through your grief that you will be consoled by the love that's being sent to you from all peoples. And to us, may we be strong. May our families be strong. May all our relations be strong. And may we walk every day with this strength and courage into the future together, into the future in unity, and into the future with peace for everyone.
Oh. Oh.
Everybody is dark. I'm going to assume we're going to close with that.